Hey, Eric.
Why are you dressed like a lumberjack again?
I'm actually going for a look called Lumberjack Rave. So this is my lumberjack shirt, which on the back it has a Sasquatch on it, and it says "Believe." And I wore this to a concert that I went to on Friday, where I saw Sasquatch, and I wore my big old belt buckle from Wild Goose with a Sasquatch riding a goose. It
Did
was
you
so much.
did you cut down any trees today?
I did not cut down any trees, but it's only 7:30, so there's time.
Plenty of time. Get out there, Grace. Come on. Time is of the essence.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about your tree cutting business. Let's get this going, okay?
Woo!
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Grace, a week from now, a whole year's worth of the Running Mullet podcast will have been done. But first, let's focus on tonight with episode 51.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, anybody who's listening, whether you're listening live or you're listening the next day or weeks from now, here's like something that is, I don't know if it's good to know, but I just want to let you know.
Oh boy.
If you ever see me in a race, or Eric for that matter, and you say the words, "Hey, by the way, love the podcast," it's going to make me smile for the rest of the race. So I had a great race yesterday. I was at Squirrely Tail Twale 1. And this woman we were kind of going back and forth a little bit. She said that to me, and she was very nice, and I didn't get her name, and congratulations on your finish. And she said that to me, and it made my day.
I know. I swear these numbers on our screen and the numbers on Spotify and the numbers on Apple, like they're liars, because there's people, I don't know where these people watch a show and we don't know about it. And it's lovely. I totally agree. Like, it's like, wow.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was super nice.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good, pretty laid back. You got a lot more snow than we did, I think, but
no, we got nothing.
Oh, well, whatever. I don't know. York got nothing?
Do you know where I live? No, we got like maybe half an inch. Maybe.
Oh. Well, anyway, I'm going to say we got 3 inches Friday night, but it was the most powdery. I don't know, man. I've never run in such difficult snow Saturday morning. Becky and I went for a run up on the Idiot Land and did some stuff, 10 miles, but it was frustrating. I don't like, we needed spikes, the big spikes, but
yeah,
I don't like wearing them. They make my feet hurt after a while. Wow. It was really bad, but yeah. So that was kind of like a wake up call of some sort, or I guess.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, that was it for Saturday. I kind of pouted the rest of the day. My hips even hurt from that run. Like, it was just craziness, slipping all over. And then we learned it had an indoor meet Sunday, kick butt, got a new PR for the 5K. So, pretty awesome. Yeah, that's my weekend. So you did.
So I do want to back up to this thing that you glazed over.
Yeah.
Back it on up, please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You said, thank you. Thank you for the beeps. Beep. So you said Idiot Land.
Yeah.
Idiot Land is a place? Is this like Neverland?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody likes to visit Idiot Land when they come up. You know, the general vicinity up across the road on the mountainside, and there's other trails. So it's kind of like Candyland, but Idiotville. Sometimes you see idiots up there. Like, I missed Albert and Callie or Saturday. They come later because they sleep in, and
Mhm.
You know, that they're kidless, so they do their own thing. Don't get me started
Yeah.
on that.
They're smart.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, like I call it idiot land. There's at any point in time you'll find idiots up there just on the trails.
I didn't know there was a name for it. I like it.
Yeah, I need to make a sign, I guess, huh?
Yeah, you should.
So let me back up a little bit more. Go
Beep, beep.
to the beginning here. So for this, do you think next week ends? It's a year next week, and is that the end of our first season? Do we call it that a season? So I'm making shows? Will it be season 2 after that? It's something we need to think about. Not only that, is it time for my most amazing rhyming to come to an end? And come
Ooh,
out with a different I got
that might
different
hurt some feelings.
I could dance at the beginning. I don't know, shave my body. There's all kinds of weird things I could do instead of rhyming.
I love the rhyming. I think they're
Okay.
entertaining. I think they're fun.
Do
I
you
really
then?
don't want to see you dance and I also don't want to see your body hair. So let's stick
Okay.
with rhyming.
I guess I'll continue rhyming on whatever. Okay, I'll just keep doing the hard work and we'll keep this ball rolling.
Yeah.
What about, I really want to hear about your weekend though. So you went to this this
Swirly.
speech impediment 12 ways
Mhm.
you went will be hard at the 12 ways?
I did. Yeah. So I was kind of in my head. I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel because I just did the 100K last weekend. But if I'm feeling it, then, if I happen to get a course PR, then that would be super fun. I wasn't really banking on it though. But I felt good. It was very muddy.
I heard.
It was muddy. It was icy. There was ice on the course. And I did go the wrong way for a little bit because I saw my friend Heather and I was so excited to see her. And then I missed a turn. There was a good 10, 15 of us that missed a turn. And I pulled off a course PR by 1 minute. One minute. I was very excited for that. I was very happy. Yeah.
Killing
And
it.
Squirrely, that's Scott Newcomer's race. You know Scott Newcomer.
Yeah. He is he's been up in Idiotville.
He has. Now it's Idiotville? I thought it was Idiotland.
Both. It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he kicked butt. So, all right. Well, that's that. Anything else you did this weekend? You're in State College right now. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm in State College right now. Saw Sasquatch on Friday. Saturday went hiking with my friend Lacey. It was really went to the gym. It was a good weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll keep kicking butt. What's next on your race schedule?
Well, not a race next, but Lacey and I are doing another 12-hour walk. I'm super excited. Yeah, we really enjoyed it last time. So we were like, let's do it again. So we found a weekend and we're gonna walk for a long time.
Is that a closed group, or is there any way somebody can join that if they wanted to maybe join, or is this like a prestigious two-woman club? Just asking for a friend.
If there was company, that would totally be fine. It's just something that the two of us schedule. If you can find us, then you are welcome.
All right. Good to know. All right. Let's get rolling, moving on with this show. What do you say?
I am super excited because we're having Jordan back on the show. And yes, his second time on the show. The first time he was on, he was talking about his awesome run at Eastern States. And now he is back to talk about his Pennsylvania FKT attempt on the Appalachian Trail. And again, FKT stands for fastest known time. If you're interested more in FKTs and all the rules related to them, because it's not a race, you can go to fastestknowntime.com. There's also a group called Women Who FKT, if you're interested in that side of it. But Jordan just came off of his attempt for the Pennsylvania AT section and is here to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
How you doing, guys?
He is our second timer. So he's going to have the first opportunity to be a three-peater at some point this coming year, which is pretty exciting, Jordan. That's prestigious right there.
Maybe in June.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so let's see. Welcome back, Jordan. Thank you for joining us again. You went for the FKT on the Appalachian Trail in PA. What was that? 2 weeks ago now, or 3?
I got off last Saturday. So what, 10 days ago? 9 days ago?
All right. So we have a lot of time tonight. Not a ton, but enough where I want to hear some of the details from what it sounded like. So you were going, you were trying to set this fastest time on that section in PA, and that was going totally self-supported, right?
Unsupported,
sorry. Unsupported, carrying everything on your person and beating the previous time of, what was it, 4 days and?
Yeah, 4 days, 2 hours, 49 minutes, and I forget the seconds. I think it's 34.
Hey, that's important. So the first day, from what it sounded like, and you did a lot of awesome posting and keeping those who wanted to follow you updated, and you did a phenomenal job at that, I must add. Like it's exciting when I was following you. It's not like I had to go like hours and days without hearing anything. You do a good job of feeling like I'm with you, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So that was keep doing that stuff.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing that in the future.
But your first day didn't really go as planned, right? Is that the best way of putting it?
Yeah, it didn't go to plan whatsoever. So I've been using hiking poles since 2011, and I broke my first one ever on this FKT attempt at 7:30 p.m., 7 hours into day one. I was on a kind of not so rocky stretch, slight downhill, running at a nice pace. Next thing I know, I'm picking myself off the ground. Fortunately, I didn't hit any rocks with my body. I did hit my pinky quite hard. It's still not quite right. I don't think I broke it, but I definitely messed it up a little bit. So I was concerned that I broke my pinky, and I was just punched to the gut type feeling when I saw I broke my pole. I snapped my black diamond carbon pole, fixed length pole, in half, about 10 inches below the tip. So it was pretty much useless.
And I want to add, like, I'm trying to do better at using poles. I haven't been using them as long as you have, but I feel like it's an advantage to use them, and I'm getting better at it, and I enjoy using them. But I bought a pair of Leckies, whatever you say it. Leaky. That's how you say Leaky. Lakey. Thanks, Grace. When I ran so I bought the most expensive ones because that's what I do, and they were the lightest, and they were phenomenal, and you couldn't even tell they were strapped in when you weren't using them. But anyway, I used them in Canada, and then I came home and I used them for Call the Wild's 50K. Right? I figured, well, practice 50K to see if I can, use them right and go faster and all that. But anyway, like the second climb of the day, of the race, going up a valley, and we all know what the trails are like in Eastern States course and Call the Wild stuff, kind of rocky and stuff. But I put it right down in between two rocks and kept going forward, and it took very little pressure to snap, done.
Yeah.
$150 out the window.
Yeah.
So I feel you. Like, and I agree. It's too easy to do it with these carbon fiber ones.
Yep. So the one I just showed you was aluminum. I've always used aluminum. I've recently tried to shave weight in every possible area. So I went with carbon fiber and back to aluminum. I mean, I need something that's not going to break since I'm so dependent on it, from particularly on the Appalachian Trail with how rocky it is. You need it for stability. You need it to keep yourself off the ground when you're, on an angled rock every other step. You need it going down the steep hills, and you need it going up the steep hills. So I was in rough shape not having one of my poles that I'm very dependent on.
Yeah, I think especially, for anybody listening who typically trail runs, just remember this is with a pack as well. So just a few weeks ago when I did just 2 days on the Appalachian Trail, I attempted in the morning, I was like, well, I'll go for a while without my poles and then I'll get them out later on. I went a whole 10 minutes without my poles and then I got them out because between the snow and the rocks and having a pack on, the weight distribution is so different and you can move much more efficiently with poles than you can without poles. And so I couldn't imagine doing that without two poles. It would just be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I had a moment of, am I even going to stay out here? It was 7 hours in. I'm like, what am I doing? This is probably for me one of my top 3 pieces of gear, and now it's broken.
Did you try to MacGyver it at all? Like, come on, like instantly in your head, you got to be like, how do I fix this?
Yeah, I mean, I had an idea right away. If I had a steel rod that I could splice it together and duct tape it closed, I'd be game on again. But I didn't have something rigid enough that would withstand the sheer stress of, taking another impact.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything I thought of wasn't feasible in the field. So after spending probably 2 hours of trying to come up with repairs, I shifted my mental energy to just adapting to only having one pole instead of trying to fix the problem.
Yeah. Now, let me back up really quick. Were you going south to north or north to south?
I was going southbound.
Okay, so you were going southbound. And for anybody listening, FKTs typically, it doesn't matter which direction you're going unless you're going the full length of a couple of trails like the Pacific Crest Trail. The full Appalachian Trail does have both a northbound and a southbound FKT, but the Pennsylvania section of the AT, I believe it's ambiguous. Like it doesn't matter if you're going northbound or southbound.
Right.
The FKT is the FKT. So you were going southbound. Okay, gotcha. All right, where's the northern terminus?
The Delaware Water Gap. So the state line's literally on Interstate 80. There's a pedestrian bridge on the south side of the highway. So it's right on the concrete.
Okay. And then is it rockier up there and then gets gradually less rocky, or the reverse?
In my opinion, the worst stretch for the worst type of rocks is from a little bit south of Delaware Water Gap to Wind Gap. It's these little rocks that you can't avoid, and they're not actually anchored in the ground, and they're all angled and they move when you step, and there's so many leaves in that area.
Yeah.
It's just very challenging to move quickly and not injure yourself in the process.
Yeah, those are baby head rocks.
Yeah, except they move in more strange ways than those round baby head rocks do.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. They're hard to describe.
They're like lopsided baby head rocks.
Yeah. They're no fun. But yeah, to answer your question, the rocks are certainly worse the northern half of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So a lot of people say once you get to Duncannon, which is, just north of Harrisburg, that the rocks get better. Really, you have to go around Cove Mountain and just north of Carlisle before they really get a lot better. Yeah. Then you have the farmland stretch going through Carlisle. Then you have the, southern Pennsylvania section, which there's still rocks, but it's more like a normal trail that you would find in any other state as far as rocks go.
Okay. So you're starting out with at least the most technical part of the trail. You're doing that first.
Yeah.
Okay. Pole breaks, back to regularly scheduled programming. What's next?
At that point, I just tried to shift my mindset to trying to find a positive out of it. I had watched Joe, I always say his last name wrong, McConaughey, String Bean. I watched I think it was his long trail FKT, and he was talking about how laughter gives you energy. And I was trying to find any sort of positive out of this situation. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start laughing every time I think about this stupid pole and try and make a positive out of it and give myself some energy and see how that works.
Nice.
That's kind of where my head went, and I just tried to ride with it. The rest of that night was kind of just pushing through that, trying to let it go and not dwell over it, which I struggled with for a little bit. I was reminded of the fact that I only had one pole going down the very steep, sketchy descent into Lehigh Gap at the Lehigh River. I was being very careful because I've done that section multiple times, and I know it's dangerous, and it's particularly dangerous at 12:30 in the morning when you're tired. And I took a step on a rock that had been worn smooth from people traveling over it, and I went down hard. I whacked my left elbow, which it still hurts, and that probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a broken pole, because my one pole that I did have slipped out. The second one probably would have held, but it was useless. So at that point, I figured I'd just make it across the Lehigh River and kind of mentally reset at George Outerbridge Shelter and get a good night's sleep and just start fresh the next day.
Yeah.
So,
now, how many miles in are you at this point?
when I got to George Outerbridge, that was 37 miles, I believe.
Nice.
Did you try the old fashioned find a stick and use that as a pole?
I thought about it. I just
didn't even try?
No, I mean, I tried. I picked up a bunch of sticks, and then I was wasting so much time trying to find a good stick.
Yeah.
So I just gave up on that too.
It's a tough time of year. There's a lot of rotted wood out there too. And then if you lean on it too hard, then that's going to break. Now, I still got to back this up because I'm trying to wrap my head around everything. So can you tell us your pack weight? And typically pack weight is without food and water and with food and water, right? So can you tell us your pack weight?
So my standard base weight for my setup was 10.4 pounds, but I made some last minute changes. I added an extra power bank, and I added something else that was just a little bit of weight. So it was probably closer to 11 pounds. And with my food and water for the first day, it was 22.6 pounds.
That's super light.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so 22 pounds, and you do what smart backpackers do, hikers do, trail runners do when things aren't quite going right. One, you eat, and then two, you sleep. Yeah. So you decided I'm gonna put it in for the night. Okay.
Yeah. I got lucky. There's historically been a homeless guy there at that shelter kind of taking up residence. So getting there in the middle of the night around 1:30, I didn't know what I was going to encounter. I was kind of mentally prepared to keep going because I didn't want to, disturb someone sleeping there and deal with whatever. So I got lucky from that perspective. I had the shelter to myself, and it was beautiful sunrise the next morning. I got an extra hours of sleep because in addition to being mentally wrecked, I was in a lot of physical pain already. I had some strange pains that started in my right hip flexor early on, and I kept stretching that and kind of pushing on it, working it out as I was moving. That eventually went away. And then I had a pain in my upper left calf, which I think was the start of my second worst problem on trail with my left knee pain. That was strange. That started like 15 miles in on day one. And a lot of times when I get those pains around that distance, they last for maybe 30 miles and then they're gone for good, like the hip flexor pain was. But this left calf knee pain never really went away. Even the very last day when I was still out there, I was still dealing with it.
Yeah, and I think one of the hard things is you got nothing else to think about either, or to like it's not only is it physical pain and mental like rumination, but you got nothing else to do. So you're just going to think about it. There's other things to think about, but still.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on, but since we have such a good question coming in, let's go with it. Erica Lubera says, "How much of your attempt was running, and how much was more power hiking?" And which is a great question.
Yeah. Phenomenal question. In fact, it drove me to buy a new pack because my Ultimate Direction Fast Pack 40, which I got specifically to run the slight downhills and downhills, it just didn't work out like that when I was actually out there. There was probably 5% of the 115 miles that I actually was running, and most of it was just speed hiking. So I went with a new pack purchase that would give me better distribution of the weight and kind of take away some of the running mobility. But the reality is I've run in a 65-liter Gregory pack with a bear canister on the top for miles and miles. So I can make do with a 35-liter pack with a waist belt.
Yeah. Now, what did you switch to?
So got a Hyperlight Mountain Gear Waypoint 35. It's a new pack that they just came out with.
Yeah, I just did a very similar move. I switched to a pack that I think distributes the weight better, and it looks bulkier, but I feel more comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I can move better.
Yeah, my lower back and traps were the two most significant pain locations.
Yep.
For the first day and a half. And then it's surprising, like when not surprising, I know this because it's happened before, but you get other pain that hurts way worse, and then the initial pain just goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put my pack on Sunday when I got home, and I was like, holy crap, my traps hurt so bad. I was like carrying this pack for so long, but I didn't even notice it after a while. But yeah, it's going to help with that. Just distribute the weight off of my upper body solely and get it on my lower body a little bit more. It'll help my lower back.
Yeah. Now, which we will get to that, because while you were out there, I feel this pain while you were out there, you were kind of already planning for the next trip. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So, okay. So how long did you sleep? And then talk us through the next day.
Yeah. So I got up at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning of, a week and a half ago, and packed up pretty quick, got moving pretty quick. I felt really good for probably half of that day. It started off not as rocky as I had gotten through the night prior. And overall, I was moving pretty decent clip. There's some stretches as you get closer to Hawk Mountain where the terrain is just kind of brutal again. And even prior to that, at Bake Oven Knob area, there's a lot of just angled rock. They have to hop from rock to rock. But I was moving pretty quick through all of it. And then once I got to Dan's Pulpit, Pinnacle, Pulpit Rock, it's a lot of kind of more like roads, as terms of Appalachian Trail roads go. There's still some rock, but it's more like road running than it is trail running with all the rock that I had just been through. So made it to there. I was feeling really good. It was around sunset that I got to Pulpit Rock, and I was just feeling great pushing towards Port Clinton. And I don't know, I hit that wall as I was coming down into Port Clinton. A lot of crappy rock with leaves everywhere. I was given a heads up that there was a lot of leaves down in that area by a friend a couple days prior, and there certainly were. Just made for a lot of slow going, and it was getting a lot colder that night than I was anticipating, so that was impacting me mentally. So I'm working my way down into Port Clinton. I knew the descent was going to be sketchy. There's always leaves that just kind of pile in on the trail that's side cut in, and there's all these angled rocks. And even though I was going super slow and careful, I went down again. So I fell a third time. Get down into Port Clinton. I don't even remember what time it was. It's probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. I just remember being cold and tired, and I knew I had to climb up, which is probably one of, if not the steepest climbs on the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania, going south out of Port Clinton up onto the ridge. And that's where the Leg Destroyer Trail
I was
is.
just going to ask that, if that's where Leg Destroyer is. Oh, man. That
Adjacent to that. So it's pretty close to the same steepness going up the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
And then once you get up, you're greeted by a horrendous rock. So it's like your reward is flat rock there's a lot of blowdown up in that particular area too, which the trail maintainers, I think it was Blue Mountain Club, they had done a lot of recent trail work. The areas that I had gone through earlier in day 2. So that was a welcome surprise because I had been on those trails lately and there's a lot of blowdown.
I saw the same thing when I was around Peters Mountain. Like Peters Mountain, there were a ton of blowdowns, and it just made me go so much slower than I anticipated. So not only were there snow drifts up to my knees, and I was breaking snow, and there were blowdowns, so I couldn't always tell where the trail was. But you could tell they were up there too, and they were clearing stuff. There were just so many of them. Man, it's this time of year, there's just not as many people on the trail. So it doesn't make sense to clear every blowdown, the very next day. It's a bunch of volunteers. They're doing the best they can. But those blowdowns really slow you down.
They do. So I was super pumped to see that they had gotten out so early in the season to get stuff cleared up. But yeah, I got through the worst of the rocks day 2, and I found a nice spot right up in the state game lands area under some hemlock trees and just set up bivy. I was trying to get to, forget the name of the shelter, Eagle something. It's like 5 miles south of Port Clinton, Eagle's Nest. That was my goal, to get there at least. And I just had nothing left in me. I felt so wrecked again. It was weird. Every night I felt absolutely trashed physically. I felt pretty decent in the morning. I recovered enough overnight. But yeah, once again, totally trashed. I decided to sleep an extra 2 hours for that reason. My objective was to get up at sunrise each day, and I just didn't travel late enough into the night to minimize how much time I was sleeping. And I knew I wasn't going to really benefit from waking up a couple hours before sunrise based on how physically trashed I was. I knew that 2 extra hours would help me recover and ultimately give me a better chance of moving farther.
Yeah.
In the long term.
It's such a balance between, like, how do you make that decision between, do I sleep more knowing that I can maybe move a little faster, or do I, push it and go a little more tired knowing that I can go further? I don't know. How do you make that determination? What do you err on? Do you err on a little more sleep or a little less sleep?
Well, in reality, I wanted to do less sleep than I had been doing, particularly those first 2 nights. I wasn't feeling it though. Physically, I was so beat up. I don't know if I didn't have enough training with the heavy load and my body was fatiguing in different ways than I was used to. I do a lot of running, but I'm not always carrying that heavy Ultimate Direction fast pack. I mean, I was carrying it with some friends on training runs for the last 3 months, but in reality, I would have benefited if I had more time using that pack. And also, I simulated the food weight by carrying 8 pounds of rice. So I just had rice in my bear bag. Now I'm going to put even more than 8 pounds. I'm going to go out with 12 pounds. So I'm going to overweight myself not to the point that I'm going to injure myself before I get out there, but I'm going to give my body a little bit more of that strain before I'm out on trail, so I know what to expect better.
Yeah. And it's wild, how much can change with chafing and hot spots and just general soreness in your shoulders, your back, between going out there practicing on a 4-hour and going out and having that thing on your back for 12 hours. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a huge difference.
I was moving on average 15 and a half hours, 16 hours a day with that. And yeah, I had some long runs with it. I did 40 miles out and back back in November with it, but still I wasn't used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, questions are coming in through the chat. I want to ask those. I have other questions as well. So let's start with this. With the learnings from this attempt, what will you change for your next attempt?
So one of the big things I knew I was going to struggle with the most was the time of the year and the daylight. As much as I run at night, I don't absolutely love it. And when the sun sets so early and you're running by headlight at 5:50 already, that's a lot of hours to be running into the night to get to that 2 a.m. target of when you're going to stop. So my target was run until 2, sleep 4 hours, and then pack up and get moving at sunrise, which would have been right around 6 this time of year. So planning on going out again in May. So gain 4.5 hours of daylight from when I was out there then to, say mid-May. It's 4.5 hours extra. So that's something I can change based on when I physically go out again. I had PTO that I needed to use by the end of March. So I was really just planning all along to go out the very first good weather window that popped up. I saw this period of time 2 weeks out and I had been watching it, and ultimately I decided I was going to go for it, even though I had never once planned on going out even before March. Like I was telling people March, April, and here I was going out in February. So I knew I was setting myself up for even more of a challenge at that point. The temperatures, although they were manageable with my gear, it was mentally straining knowing that I was barely staying warm enough with all but one extra or one layer on. Like I didn't have my puffy on, but I had everything else on and I'm barely staying warm enough moving. That gets to you after a while when you're, just tired and cold and it's dark and you just want to sleep.
Yeah. And if you wear too much and then you stop and you start sweating, that sweat is then going to cool you down. And so you really can't stop moving. Temperature regulation is so difficult this time of year, and it makes packing more difficult because of that.
It does. So talked about some of the other stuff, the new pack, the pole that I had shown, got an aluminum pole so my pole doesn't break. I had toyed around with the idea of starting the day in the dark. That way I'm in the dark with like more energy, fresh mindset versus later in the day. But I just don't operate well like that ever. So I don't know why I even had that idea. I'm going to abort that idea next time. My goal is going to be 4 hours of sleep and I wake up at sunrise. I know I will move most efficient.
Nice. So new pack, new poles, going along with your own body's circadian rhythm, and a different time of year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's got a new date set.
Yeah. A new date set already.
Yeah.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Other questions that came through. The pain that you felt in this compared to the pain that you felt in the blacklist races. So you did complete the blacklist in 2023. So you have some good comparison. And I think I don't know. This is a really cool question, and would love to hear your perspective. So you did Heiner, you did World's End 100K, you did Eastern States 100 miler, and Black Forest 100K. So what's the comparison?
Yeah, it's hard to compare because they're so different. Having people there to support you, whether it's moral support, physical support by giving you liquids, giving you food, helping you with your gear, helping you with injuries, just having someone to be with. It's a totally different dynamic than being out there all alone and making, sure you don't die. Because, if you fall and hit your head, something bad could happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm the only one out there accountable for myself. So I need to be super careful and make sure nothing bad happens to me. I need to keep myself hydrated. So I have to constantly stop to filter water. I have to have the correct mix. I can't drink too much water versus electrolytes. I was using Tailwind. That way I could get calories in also. One of the days I had too much water and I was having issues with it. I was getting kind of blurred vision and lightheaded. Took a lot of thought to figure out what was wrong with me, but I realized I had too much water and not enough electrolytes. So I fixed it. But stuff like that, you really need to be accountable for what's going on with your body and fix it, because no one's out there to help you figure it out.
How many people did you see on the trail?
I saw probably around 5 people.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw more people on Saturday when I got off trail than I did the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And just eating, constantly making sure I'm eating. That was the one thing that went really well. When I did the Standing Stone Trail, unsupported FKT, I gave myself 5 options of food, and somehow I muscled through that. I had 16 options of food this time, and I never got bored of any of my food. I was just ravenously eating. I was almost eating too much of my food. I went out with 10 pounds of food, and I had eaten 5.24 pounds of food halfway through. So in hindsight, that's something I'm going to change. I'm going to bring a little extra food next go around. I have a spreadsheet that tracked how much of every food item I had out there and what the calories per ounce are, so I can kind of strategically pack more of certain things and less of others.
Now, I want to ask about food really quickly because I want to know for my own reasons. I know a lot of people who hike bring dehydrated meals, and I know that's to save on weight. But when you are fast packing, when you're trying to move quickly and be lightweight, for myself, I'm like, I don't know that I want to deal with all the work that's involved in rehydrating or cooking or any of that, because then you know, if you bring a stove, well, that's extra weight. So why don't I just bring things like some Cliff Bars and have a pocket full of candy? I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on food? And do you do the more on the side of, do you fuel more on the side of hikers with more trail mix and dehydrated foods, or are you more on the side of trail runners with some bacon and Fireball and candy?
Kind of a mix. My go-to is Snickers. They're very dense in calories per weight, so had a lot of that. Reese's, did have Cliff Bars, Lara Bars, trail mix. I had different goos just to get caffeine in me. Ironically, those are not so dense in calories per weight, so same with Tailwind. Those are on the lower side of calories per ounce. But in general, it was a lot of food that I could eat on the move. I never stopped to eat. The only time I was eating when I wasn't moving was when I was setting up camp, tearing down camp, or filtering water. Otherwise, I was never not moving, eating. Name of the game was just keep moving. So
Okay.
everything I needed to do was done when I was moving, like charging stuff. I had battery pack in my fanny pack with cords coming out of it. And I had like my headlamp, other devices that needed charging strapped to my pack so I could just monitor it and get stuff charged on the go.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, more questions. How do you mentally prepare for an upcoming attempt with the Sufferfest so fresh in your mind?
I feel like it's gone. The suffer part is already gone. I'm just so excited still. Like I never lost that excitement. I did not want to get off trail. Like day 3, I literally was verbally making noise of discomfort with every step, but I didn't want to get off trail. I was just constantly trying to figure out ways to keep moving and stay out there. I still feel super excited about it. I think if anything, having the freshness of just how bad it actually hurt is just going to help me and not give me that false sense of confidence, I guess I'd say. It's easy to sit at home when you're comfortable and say, I can do XYZ. When you're out there dealing with the trail and the conditions, that's when reality sets in. So having it fresh in my mind will help me better prepare what I'll probably actually be able to accomplish out there and come up with the best game plan for what I know works for me. I mean, all along my goal was to complete the trail unsupported in the fastest time possible for me. If I broke Cal's impressive record, that'd be incredible. I can't say with certainty that I have it in me, but I believe I do, and I'm going to go for it. But bottom line, I just want to finish the trail in a fast time unsupported.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to point this out. This is an FKT that is highly competitive. So there are some FKTs that people don't attempt as often. And then there are some that get attempts very frequently. The Arizona Trail is one of them. The Pennsylvania section of the AT gets some heavy hitters going after this FKT. I know Anish had it for a bit there. And so there are some very fast people doing this attempt. So you going after this, I mean, I think you can do it, one. But I just want people to know how impressive it is to go after it because this attempt is not for the faint of heart. This is a really fast attempt and it's a competitive attempt. And that's another danger is that somebody might beat it between now and then.
That's certainly possible. I mean, any given year, you got all these thru hikers coming through that are just in incredible shape till the time they get to Pennsylvania. I mean, that's what Cal had done. He had gone Sobo from Katahdin, Maine, got to Pennsylvania and decided he was going to go after the FKT. He had done the Chantilly Trace Trail previously, so he knew what a long distance FKT took to get done. But he was, in great shape, had his system dialed down because he's been on trail day in, day out, working with his gear.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's like, if you're not using that particular gear all the time, you just can't develop that level of efficiency with it.
Yep.
Like little things like setting up the bivvy, getting in and out of the bivvy, getting stuff packed up. It takes time. If you don't do it every day, you're just not going to be as efficient.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I found when I was on the Horseshoe Trail. It's just like there's so many things that your crew does for you and you don't even realize it. Even if it's setting up a place to sleep, it takes so much time when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Now,
From the
another
age
question.
perspective of
Mhm.
this versus what I did last year,
Mhm.
I didn't directly answer that question because I didn't know exactly how. Like there's times during Black Forest that I may have been in more severe pain than I was on this Appalachian Trail attempt, but I was in pain for a lot longer of a time at a pretty high degree when I was out there last week and a half ago. And knowing how many miles I still had to do,
Yeah.
you know, when you have 100K, I mean, that's a long distance to begin with, but when you have 230 miles and you're already hurting,
Yeah.
it messes with you mentally. It makes it a
Yeah.
little bit more difficult to find a way to push through that pain. Your little tricks that worked at the 100K or 100-mile distance might not work as well. So that's one
Yeah.
thing we need to work on and come up with solutions for, because the
Yeah. So
pain's going to show up.
even if you're like, oh, I'm targeting, a 30-minute mile versus an 18-minute mile. Also it's, well, I've got 15 hours to go versus I have 3 days left.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big difference. Another question that came through, I know my answer to this. I'm very curious about your answer to this. Wouldn't early fall be a better season for an FKT?
There's benefits to it, but in general, the trail's often drier, and having reliable water sources on the Appalachian Trail is a huge factor. I don't want to be dropping off the ridge to get to lower elevation springs if I can avoid it. In general, there's more humidity too that time of year. There's definitely benefits to the fall.
Yeah.
To me, I think early spring is the ideal time. The bugs aren't out as much and the humidity is a little bit lower. Temperatures can be comparable to the fall time. But to me, it's really the water source reliability.
Yeah. I'm also going to say early spring. And one of my big reasons why, and this is a big difference between, for me, the FKT and a race. So I would do an early fall race because the trails are marked by a person with flagging, and they put up reflective flagging for nighttime. Well, there's no reflective flagging when you're doing an FKT. You're just relying on the blazes. And off by the time you hit late summer, the trails are way overgrown. So it depends on the trail, of course. But I think early spring, there's not as much overgrowth at that time. And for one, you can see the blazes easier in early spring. And then two, just that overgrowth, like it makes it difficult to see where the trail goes, and you cut up your legs. Eric, you know what that's like from doing an FKT in July.
Yeah, but I feel like the AT is probably pretty clear for all through hikers, isn't it? I've never really been on the AT very much.
There's spots that can grow in, but the trail maintainers for the trail clubs, they really do a phenomenal job during the heart of through hiker season, keeping it maintained very well. But stuff along the trail grows so fast they can't get out there. So yeah, there's spots where you're brushing up against stuff, but compared to the horseshoe trail, which I've been on in the summer, it's like you can't see where the trail possibly could be because it's so grown in sometimes. I wouldn't say the AT gets that bad to the point that I would deviate not going for an FKT during that time of the year.
I think it does depend on the trail for sure. I'm never going to go for an FKT on the Appalachian. So I'm usually on smaller trails like the horseshoe, and on those smaller trails, like the horseshoe trail is not, its primary usage is horses, not people. And that's how it's maintained. So it's just easier to navigate. I'm not spending as much time like, oh, am I on the right trail if I'm on a section that I've never been on before? So for me, part of the benefit of an early spring, not only do you have that winter runoff on all the creeks and the rivers, so you've got better water sources. I think there's better visibility on the trail, less bugs, less humidity. So there's a few reasons for myself as well. And then fall time is a great time to go race.
Absolutely.
So May it is then, huh?
That is the goal. Yeah.
Nice. And you have a window of a couple weeks that you can handle if looking at the weather, or you locked into a certain week?
I am not locked in at this point in time. I have the whole month of May open. So ideally, I'd do it earlier in May. My wife, Alicia, is going out on the Appalachian Trail again this year, Sobo from Katahdin, and I'm doing the 100-mile wilderness with her. So I don't want to be too banged up when I'm out there with her. So that's the objective, early May. I like that time of year. It's still cool at night, and
well,
the leaves are just starting to come out.
You might not have the exact date penciled in for that yet, but we'll have to pencil you in for shortly after to be on the show again. And we don't want any pole breaking stories, any outie stories, none of that this time.
Stuff will go wrong. It always does. But
yes.
Hopefully different stuff.
Something always goes wrong. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. Things always go wrong. It's all in how you handle it and what's your mindset going to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to force yourself to smile and laugh and hope that it will help turn things around. Now, just to wrap this up, we already know what's next for you. What advice or do you have to anybody out there, or encouragement do you have for anybody out there who might be looking at an FKT for this year?
Just go for it. Don't be afraid to not finish it. I mean, in my opinion, the only failure is not going for it. Mentally prepare, physically prepare, come up with a solid plan that works for you. Share it with people or don't. Just go out there and push yourself. It's really an opportunity to learn so much more about you as a human and what makes you tick, what makes you unique, and you just have this experience that it's kind of hard to put into words. It's different than a race because you're so self-dependent. So yeah, just try it. It doesn't need to be a long distance either.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because, man, if you're not good friends with yourself yet, go do an FKT. You will spend a lot of time with yourself and you will learn if you like yourself or not. You get to spend a lot of time trying to make friends with yourself. So I appreciate
I do. Before we wrap this up, I do want to express just how grateful I was for how much support I got from people, the Idiot Runner group, the Valley Forge Hills and Friends group, Big Woods Running Club group. So many people had reached out to me during, after, and just offered support virtually, which is the only support I could accept. But it was way more support than I was anticipating. And it was so awesome to experience that from this community that we have. And, very grateful for it, having good friends and family.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have all that support again come May.
Yeah. I will. And we're thankful that you are open about sharing. I did more of that on my last adventure, and it's weird when you're by yourself just talking to a phone or sharing pictures or whatever. But really on the other side of it, it is so cool to watch that adventure with you and feel like we're in it. We're all a team trying to get this done, and we're cheering you on. So really appreciate you sharing everything.
Absolutely. It was fun doing it. Definitely be doing it again. And I'm also planning on doing live tracking next time too. So
nice.
It'll be 2 dimensions to follow me.
Cool.
Instagram and live tracking.
Well, thanks for being on. We always appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. Thank
and
you, Grace.
we certainly look forward to having you on again after your next adventure, and it better be completed adventure this time.
I'll finish the trail if I can.
Yeah, just for us. No one else, just for Grace and I. Nah, it's a cool story, and you're right. I mean, it's all about getting out there and doing the hard things. That's what the whole idea of Idiot Runner was formed on, and you're a good example of what that is. So
Yep.
Keep doing the stupid shit.
Doing stupid shit, but also making smart decisions. For a while, I was pushing through pain that I didn't know if I should be, and being that my left knee is still not right, I'm glad I got off when I got off and didn't keep pushing through.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to know when it's right to pull the plug.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Grace, you ready to wrap this up?
Ready.
What the heck you doing this weekend, Grace?
I told you I'm walking for 12 hours with my friend Lacey.
Oh, that's this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool. What are you doing this weekend, Jordan?
I don't even know.
I got him caught off guard.
I got in some split boarding in the snow that we got on Saturday and a hike on Sunday. Maybe probably a hike on Sunday.
Nice.
Okay. What about you, Eric? What are you doing this weekend?
Thanks for asking, Grace. You're so sweet. I don't know. I'm hoping to get back to running and not feel my chest hurt every time I breathe. That's what I'm.
Yeah. How's your ribs?
Yeah, it's not great.
Wow.
Hopefully, it'll be better by this weekend.
All right.
Yeah, no big plans. I don't think. Lauren has a birthday party, so there's going to be a bunch of girls at my house. So yeah, I'm hoping to be out in the woods running.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to be at the birthday party? They might have birthday cake.
Yeah. They'll save a piece for me. Bunch of 15-year-olds running around.
Yeah. That sounds super fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next week is our 1-year podcast anniversary. Yeah, there's going to be fireworks. There's going to be celebrity appearances. There's going to be people losing their clothes. It's going to be pure chaos.
Whoa.
You didn't get that memo?
I did not get that memo. I didn't know that's what was happening.
Yeah.
I might have plans.
All right. Well, it'll be sure. I don't know what exactly we're doing yet, but I'm positive we're going to make it a fun show. It's
going to be good. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk about all the things that we love about Eric. So better be there.
So it'll be like a probably 30-second show.
Yep. We'll make it quick.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you got, Grace?
That's it. Done.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining in. We'll see you next week for the podcast anniversary.
Whoop. See you. Bye.
Have a good week. Later.